Hello and welcome to another Paradise Parenting video, home of fun, kind, nurturing parenting. In this video, we're going to be speaking about being out and about with my twins, your twins. And before we get started, please do like and subscribe and turn the bell icon on so that you catch all of our latest videos. Now, this month I'm in Boots Parenting Club magazine, speaking about being out and about in the car and in the buggy with my twins, what type of buggy we've chosen and why. So we're going to do a series of 4 videos about this, and this first video kicks off with what type of buggy we've gone for. So I like a side-by-side seating arrangement because I see both seats as having the same ticket price, as it were. No one view is better than the other, and no one seating position is better than the other. Both of the twins have the same view of their surroundings. They can interact really well with their surroundings and each other. They can interact really well with each other. I've got 3 pushchairs. One of them is a bugaboo donkey and the twin one, obviously. And you can have both seats facing out or both seats facing towards you, or you can have one facing out and one facing in if that is the preference of the twin, because despite being twins, we all know that they can have very, very different tastes. As it turns out, I very rarely had to have them facing in opposite directions. When Francesca was still in a carry cot because she liked to sleep on her belly for some pram naps, I kept the carry cot going for quite a long time for Francesca and converted Alexander's side into the pushchair, so he could look out or look towards me depending on which way round we had the seat, and then Francesca was still in her carry cot. But since they've been out of that and properly into a pushchair, I've had them mainly facing out, because then they get to look at what's around. And when you're out with twins, you know what it's like. People say, oh, twins, oh, everybody loves twins. So it's really good for them to be able to see all of that positive human interaction. So my favourite type of pushchair is definitely for the twins to be sitting next to each other, so they can interact really well with each other and their surroundings and with passers-by. The importance, I believe, of interacting with each other is it just helps for that twin bond to be as strong as it possibly can be. There's less rivalry if the ticket price, as it were, of the seats is the same. So if they are equal in terms of view, etc., then there's less rivalry there. So there's more of an enjoyment of going out rather than competing about who gets what seat, or feeling hard done by because you haven't got the best seat. And that interaction between them is so important, because there's normally, or statistically, there is less rivalry between twins than there is between siblings. On one hand, with twins, there is the danger that people can label them the twins all the time and they don't have their separate identities. So it's really important for them to have their separate identities, but also to have that closeness. And for us as parents not to compare them and say, well, you're better than so-and-so because you do this. I mean, that would just be awful to say that to your child. And you know, there are some people that have and do say that to their children, and often without really realising what they're saying. So the best thing is to just not compare them at all. And that also does help to reduce the rivalry, as well as having seats where they're sitting next to each other as opposed to having that difference. There will be some occasions where some people will prefer to have the one up, one down. And if that suits them and that suits their family, then that's great. What I have found for my twins anyway, and for that interaction between each other and their surroundings, is definitely to have a side-by-side seating arrangement. I mentioned that I have 3 buggies. I've actually got one of them for sale at the moment because it just doesn't suit, and it's the Joey one, because it's just too urban. We are a little bit too adventurous as a family to have an urban pushchair in the back of the car all the time. So we've actually gone for a mountain buggy to have in the car all the time, and then the bugaboo I use from the house. So the mountain buggy and the bugaboo have got really big wheels, and they've got cushioning in the pram that just lends itself to a more rough terrain. So if we go fruit picking or to a National Trust house or a field, anywhere like that, the pushchairs are absolutely brilliant, but then they are also really good around town. So the mountain buggy is actually really narrow. The bugaboo is surprisingly narrow, but the mountain buggy is more narrow, and it will actually fit through skinny Victorian house doorways, and the bugaboo fits in most places, but not those really narrow doorways that go into people's homes. All of the shops I've not had an issue with at all. So even with the twins sitting side by side, it's amazing actually how narrow the pushchairs can be, where they can fit in those spaces. And then the big wheels lend themselves to the rougher terrain, which suits our lifestyle. So it depends what kind of events and activities you're going to be doing. If you are somebody who likes to be quite adventurous and go off-road quite often, then a buggy with bigger wheels is going to suit you better. If you are around the town kind of chick, then smaller wheels will be perfectly fine for you. And actually they fold down quite easily, and they are lighter. They do tend to be lighter. So those are the reasons why I've chosen those prams for Francesca and Alexander. Number one, they sit side by side. Number two, big wheels. And number three, still narrow enough for urban life. Well, I hope you found this video useful, and if you think anybody else would benefit from watching it, then please do share this with them, and remember to like and subscribe. And if you're interested in seeing more of Francesca and Alexander, if your little ones fancy watching my twins having lots of fun, then head over to YouTube Kids, where you can check out Francesca and Alexander's very own YouTube channel.